Hey third grade, this is Mr. Roney here. Welcome back to science class this week. And I'm outside right now because I'm taking the opportunity to get some fresh air this week, a little bit every day. Today what I'm doing is I'm at a friend's house and I'm helping them plant trees around their yard. And this person's a big fan of fruit trees. So went to the store and I found baby apple trees, baby pear trees, baby plum trees, and I've been digging holes all around the yard and planting them so that in a couple years my friend will be able to come out here and get fruit without having to go to the store to buy it, which I think is pretty cool. And what you're seeing me do now is finish digging the last hole that I'm going to dig out in this yard, and this hole is going to be for this plum tree right here. Alright, so I've been doing a lot of research on this kind of tree to figure out whether it will grow well in this area. Because I know that some plants really don't do well in the cold Syracuse winters. So you need plants that are more adaptable here, that can stay alive and stay healthy in all four of the seasons. So what I figured out about this tree is that it's called an Italian plum tree. And that actually it will probably be able to grow pretty well here. And one thing that I found out about this tree is that it does not occur naturally in the wild. The only place you find this Italian plum tree is in places where humans are. And the reason for that is because people actually invented this kind of tree in some way. And they did this by selectively breeding. And this is actually something that people do with dogs a lot of the times. And dog breeders and plant breeders try to breed or produce offspring with animals that have good traits. And so that's why you have all of these different species of dogs, and they all have different abilities and characteristics that humans like. The same thing happens with trees and a lot of the food that we eat. So what I discovered about this plum tree is that it was bred to be very resistant to disease and fungus, and so that it would survive in more areas. And it was also bred to make sweeter and bigger fruit that people like to eat. Anyway, all that is to say that I think it's pretty cool that I just planted a tree that, one, probably came from all the way on the other side of the world, and two, is a kind of tree that didn't exist before humans existed. Humans basically created this kind of tree. So those were two things that I thought were really cool, and cool ways that humans have changed the environment to be better suited to help us survive. But then I started thinking, maybe there's times where the balance between humans changing the environment and the environment being able to change to adapt to us might become a little bit off-center. And what happens when humans make changes that are too big for the animals and the plants around us to adjust to? What can we do to try to stop these problems before they become too serious for us to fix? And what are some ways that we can live in peace and harmony with the animals and the plants around us? All right, I'm back inside after all that hard work. What we're going to do today is take a look at 4 different pictures. One's a video, but 4 different images, and that show some problems that have occurred because of human activity, some environmental problems. And so I want you to take a critical look at these pictures, and based on what you see, try to figure out what the problem is that they represent. And some of these pictures might represent more than one environmental problem. here's the first picture right here. And it's a picture of a lake or pond or river or something filled up with trash, which is kind of sad to see because it also isn't good for humans to swim in. But think about what problems all that trash in the water could make for the animals and the plants that are also living there. And on Google Classroom, there'll be little boxes next to these pictures where you can type in the answer to what problem you think could occur. The next visual you have here is an animal called a coati, I think that's how it's pronounced, which we don't have around here, but they're native to South America and Central America and Mexico, eating some kind of trash or something from inside a trash bag. So what kind of problems do you think could happen if this animal was eating trash? And remember, there could be more than one answer. Use your imaginations, talk to an adult if you want to. Come up with what problem you think could happen. And our next visual here is a deer crossing a road. What problem do you think this picture represents? How is this bad for people, and how is this bad for animals? And finally, we have two pictures next to each other. One is what the polar ice caps in the South Pole and the North Pole used to look like. You can see there's a lot of ice in this picture. And in the picture next to it, you'll see what that ice looks like now. And there's some ice missing. So what do you think the problem that that picture is showing is? How is it a problem for people, and how is it a problem for the polar bears and the other animals that live there? So again, if you look at these pictures and you can't think of a problem for humans or problems for animals, ask an adult and they might be able to give you some ideas, or talk to me and we can talk it out on Zoom chat or in Dojo message. And also, you could have more than one answer. So bonus points to anyone who could come up with more than one problem for each picture. That would be really cool. So tomorrow we're going to move on beyond just talking about environmental problems where humans and animals kind of fight over resources and make each other's lives harder. And we're going to talk about some solutions about how we as humans can live more in harmony with the animals and plants around us, and also keep the earth healthy so that it can support us. So go to Google Classroom, fill out those 3 or 4 problems that you're going to talk about, and then I will see you here tomorrow where you guys are going to help me come up with a solution for one of these environmental problems.